Hello everyone, come on into the beautiful game known as Countdown. We have it all! People shaped like painkillers, manual reloading, a cool ass inventory, and last but not least... well, we actually don't have stealth. Probably an oversight on my part. So, that's what we're doing today. This came from how I feel about stealth in video games. A missed opportunity in many ways. A lot of people see it as boring and sometimes even unnecessary. It's also just annoying to try to be stealthy in games, and personally I think it's because it's just so goddamn difficult to keep track of all the enemies on screen at a time. A lot of this can probably be boiled down to the fact that I just suck at stealth, but I don't care. How do we fix these issues though? Well, I don't know, but that doesn't mean I can't try. Upon booting up Countdown though, I very quickly noticed an issue. The enemies are, well, not the sharpest draw in the spoon, if you know what I mean. On top of this, they also aren't really that performant. Starting this devlog with fixing those issues would probably be a good idea, so you actually have something scary to hide from. So what enemy are we making exactly? Well, for Countdown I want to follow a very specific design philosophy for the enemies. Basically, I want the player to encounter a fairly few amount of enemies at a time and instead focus on each individual enemy. I don't want them to feel like cannon fodder, but instead make every encounter feel unique and difficult. For this I have a few ideas, but for now I'm only gonna talk about the most basic one. The Twitcher. Just a normal grunt type enemy who has just been infected recently. Basically like the runners from The Last of Us, but with more armor from exposure to Countdown's virus. These are gonna be the only enemies to be able to appear in bulk, and that's still gonna be a rare occurrence. The first step I took in making them smart is to, instead of just detecting whether or not they can see you, they also take light level into account. So if you're in darkness, you take a longer time to get spotted, if you even ever will, unless you get a little too close of course. This will allow us to implement the very first stealth mechanic, crouching. This is literally used in every other game, so I won't talk too much about it. Makes you slightly less visible to enemies and a lot quieter. This is a good start, but I mean, come on, who will ever willingly play a game with enemies this stupid? They just refuse to reliably pathfind to the player. This is because they move on a grid, predetermined from the game's start, and sometimes this grid misses some spots on the map. This is the same reason they don't collide with each other as well. So how do we fix this? Well, there are multiple ways. You could make the grid more concentrated, but this would come with a major performance drawback and doesn't solve the issue with enemies not colliding either. So I instead opted on tearing down and redoing the pathfinding from the bottom up, thereby making it work on a smoother pathfinding instead of the grid-based one. This had one too many downsides though, as the enemies kind of just get confused if you were behind more than one wall. So I decided on making a good healthy mix between them. Like Sun Tzu once said, you can't eat pasta without fork. And while you technically can, you obviously don't, right? You disgusting piece of shit. Jokes aside, this new pathfinding basically does the same thing as the grid, but instead of following it directly, it instead creates some nodes on it and goes to the nearest one using the smooth pathfinding, which proves to be much cleaner than whatever we had before. Now, we can finally work on the actual stealth. So, what mechanic do I actually even want to have for stealth? Well, I would like to have an alternative stealth experience from most other horror games. Usually when getting chased by something, you just hide under a table or in a closet as a get out of jail free card, which is honestly just stupid and doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's like, ha, I'm gonna get you! No, you went on the table, no I can't, oh. So instead of that, I want hiding to be more like concealment and not an invisibility potion. You will need to move out of safety eventually, or you'll get caught. To make this work, I first off want the player to be able to crouch behind tables and underneath them. But instead of it being a safe haven, it's more of a way to do a ring around the rosies with the enemies, to get behind them and out of a sticky situation. Another mechanic is pushing objects to block entrance points for the enemies to either buy time or make the room completely inaccessible to them. Other than this, I think glass would also be a nice addition. Inspired by Hotline Miami, it's gonna act as a wall to show you potential exits or enemies before you encounter them, but could also reveal your position early. Glass could also give you the opportunity to break it, making sound, but also giving free access to whatever might be located on the other side. And
You stupid
And last but not least, smoke grenades. To mask your movement if you need to sneak past a big open area or shake some enemies off your tail. But all of these are gonna require work, so let's just get to it. First off, let's clear the one that I think is gonna be the hardest, the table. Before we can get into that, it will be smart to first create the model though.
My collar's blue, my neck is red. I've been working like a dog just to keep my family fed.
Sweet. With the table's model done, we can get to the annoying part, making the player able to glide with it, both when standing and crouching underneath it, plus making the shadow casters work in conjunction with it. And well, I thought this was gonna be difficult, but in reality, not so much. Next on the list are pushing items. I guess I'm just gonna repurpose the tables for this. Seems fitting to block doors with those. And after a bit of work, you can now not only push tables, but also pull them. And then also went ahead and added the same system to the vending machines. Except they should weigh more than a single table. For this, I made a variable to increase the weight, and voila! You can even solid snake it now. Next up is glass, and guess what? This was really easy. I mean, it's literally just a thinner wall that you can see through. Also went ahead and made it breakable by shooting it, and also made it make noise. Last we have the smoke grenades, which I, after modeling, just implemented a simple throwing mechanic for and then made it release smoke after a set time. Since I coded the smoke in the very first devlog, and I'm very happy to finally make it do something, because smoking is cool, kids. All of the new stealth features are now officially done, but that doesn't mean this devlog is. The enemy AI has definitely been improved, but right now, whenever it does spot you, it just follows you forever, even though you've turned multiple corners and is currently hidden underneath the table. And we don't really want that, do we? Instead, I'll rewrite the chasing logic and split it into 4 states: idle, peeked, chasing, and searching. Idle is basically just when not doing anything other than exist. Then, when seeing you for enough time, it goes into peeked, where it will go to the last place it saw you at, and look around the room before giving up and returning. Unless it then spots you again, then it will go into chasing, chase you around until it loses you, and then search the area for you, before eventually giving up and returning to its place of origin. This makes smoke even more viable as well, as it's now possible to hide inside smoke clouds, even though I would probably not advise it. Now there's only changing the enemy sprite left, as I completely forgot this, so here we go, I guess. Look, it even got a slightly uncanny animation. Anyway, goodbye guys. Leave a comment on what you think about this video, and yeah, a like of course. I love you.